Okay, YouTubers, here we have my Gsx-R 750 K6, and this seems to be a common fault problem with the K6, K7 models, 600 and 750. You'll find that the problem is you've got a charging fault on the bike. The battery might seem flat or faulty. You might have that tested first, but I found, as I think many others have found, it can either be a problem with your regulator or your stator, or, as happened to me, both. So here's a regulator sighted on the bike on a hanger down under here. That's the replacement here that you can see. This baby was checked first after removing it from the hanger, lifting the tank up, removing the airbox, and getting to the connection underneath the tank and airbox, which is what you see there. And upon removal, you can see that this rectifier is fried. It's fried itself. Seems to be a problem that it doesn't get enough cool air to it, overheats and burns out. So I changed that, thinking that would be it, and lo and behold, the problem was still there. After putting the multimeter on the battery, it wasn't receiving anything like it should have been, perhaps 2 or 3 volts. It should have been 14 or thereabouts volts being sent to the battery under the seat. So after replacing the rectifier with a new one and finding that it hadn't worked, I then went to the stator, which is behind this cover here, removing all these bolts here, popping this cap off this cover, and you'll find one more bolt in there that holds the whole unit on. So don't just remove those bolts and think that you can then pop the whole thing off. You can't. You've got to remove these 3, pop the cap off, and then you'll find another bolt in there holding this unit. Okay, so once that pops off, you have the stator attached to the inside of the cover. And what I found when I popped it off was this stator, which, as you can see, burnt out on 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 coils here. When I ran the bike with this on, the cover here was getting mega hot, nearly glowing, and obviously that was the reason it was burnt out. So pop the cover off, as I've said. Don't forget about that bolt in there, inside there. Put a new stator on. It's a simple switch, swap over rather, and feed the cable up underneath here and attach to the regulator that you've already seen. One tip maybe for putting this back on: you will need a replacement gasket. Keeping the gasket in place while you pop this baby back onto the bike is really hard. I found that using a little bit of super glue on the rubber seal where the wire comes out of this container holds the rubber in place, and bob 2 or 3 bolts through to hold the gasket in place as you then pop this on. This will be sucked onto there because there's a magnet behind here that pulls this unit onto the bike. So be careful not to damage your gasket when that happens. Okay, so replace both. I would suggest both the regulator and the stator together. One causes the other to burn out. Replace both of those, and that should do the trick. Okay, I hope that's been of use to you, and happy riding.